Hello, welcome to JoinSpeaker.com. In this video we're going to show you how easy it is to set up your account and to use our system. So what I've done so far is I've opened my browser on my desktop and I've gone to JoinSpeaker.com. What I'm going to do next is click the sign in button in the upper right hand corner, and I'm going to provide my username and password. Now typically when you're speaking at an event you'll sign into two different machines. You'll sign into your iPad or whatever device you're using from the stage to moderate your input, and then you'll sign in again on the machine that's tied to the event's projector or big screen. So when you first sign into JoinSpeaker, you're taken to the account page, which has your basic information: first, last name, email address, and lastly you have an opportunity to change your audience member's URL. So what this Bob G is anyone in the audience who has a mobile device, a smartphone, a tablet, could be a laptop for that matter, but they will open their browser and they'll go to joinspeaker.com/BobG if they wish to ask me a question or provide me with some feedback or ideas. So you'll want to choose something relatively short, and you'll want to choose something obviously that is tied to your name or your company's name. What I want to show you next is the branding tab. So I'm going to click branding up here. And JoinSpeaker has some really cool things you can do. You can put a message on every single smartphone in the crowd. So this mobile URL text will appear at the bottom of those mobile devices we mentioned. So if someone in the crowd decides to ask me a question and they go to joinspeaker.com/BobG, they will see check out joinspeaker.com at the bottom of their phone. If they were to click that text, it would take them to the mobile URL here, in this example, joinspeaker.com. Now you're probably more clever or creative than I am. You could, for example, put in the mobile URL text, you could put buy my book here or sign up for my next seminar. And then of course when they click those links, it could take them to your personal website, your company website, or even an e-commerce site. So second, what you can do is you can upload a background image. So anytime audience members provide you with some kind of input, it could be a question during Q&A or it could be an idea during brainstorming, you have the opportunity to push that content up to the big screen, and this image will rest in the background. I've chosen an image of my youngest here. He has kind of an inquisitive look on his face, so I use this image in the background for Q&A sessions. It's pretty simple stuff. You're just going to click browse, select an image from your machine, and upload it to our servers. Couldn't be much easier. What I want to do next is show you what it looks like from the speaker's perspective on the stage. So I'm going to hit moderate input. Now typically a speaker will have an iPad and they'll moderate input through that mobile device. So what you see here is a couple of people have already asked questions. You see someone asked what motivates you, another person asks who is your greatest mentor. So we can do several things with these questions. We can delete them if we don't like them. I can flag them, and flagging them will make them easier to identify later. If I have a bunch of questions, for example, I might flag a couple that I really think are interesting. And lastly, here's the really cool thing. I can push questions to the big screen. So let's see here. I'm going to push this one up, and I'll push this one over. When you push a question to the big screen with that right hand arrow, they show up on the right hand side of your device, indicating that they are on the screen. Let's see what they look like on the screen. While we're at it, I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to click launch on screen mode. And there you see several things. First of all, you see that background image. There's my little guy. Second, you see join Bob at joinspeaker.com/BobG. So whatever URL you chose will show up there, directing the audience where they need to go in order to ask you questions or provide you with other types of feedback. Okay, so there's those questions. Let's look at the moderate piece again. Now, if I want to, I can do a couple of interesting things. I can push these items back to moderate, and they will disappear from the big screen. I can also delete them directly. I can also blow them up. So this third icon here will make that question appear much bigger. I'll show you that here. So notice it got a lot bigger. Okay, let's see what all this looks like from the audience member's perspective. So I'm going to open another tab here, and I'm going to go to JoinSpeaker.com/BobG. Hit enter. And this is what the audience member will see on their smartphone or their tablet or their laptop or whatever device they're using. And let's ask a question. How do I buy your latest book? Okay. And I'll hit submit. Now, as soon as the audience member submits a question to you, it's going to show up on your device where you're moderating input. So there it is. It says, how do I buy your latest book? And of course I can delete it, I can flag it, or I can move it to the right. I'm going to move this to the right. I'll move both of these to the right. And that one question I had that was huge, I'll undo that. So now I should see a list of questions on the big screen. And there they are. Let's say I really want to focus on this first question. How do I buy your latest book? I just want to concentrate on that question. I'll go to the moderate piece and I'll blow it up. Now what happens, as I mentioned before, it dominates the screen and it also eliminates the other questions from the screen. I'll go right back and undo that, and you'll see that it'll now just be part of the list. Okay, so in this way you can collect a lot of questions, and as you answer them, or topics that you discuss, as you discuss them, you can shrink them back down or balloon them up to emphasize them. The other thing you can do is you can star a particular question, and if you think a question is particularly interesting and you want to separate it from a bunch of questions or ideas, then you hit the star button. When I hit star, I hit the star on this, who was your greatest mentor? When I did that, it moves it to the right hand side and puts that star up there. That does two things. It lets you categorize questions or ideas on stage, and then it also lets you identify that question later. So one thing to point out is every single piece of feedback that the audience gives us is stored on our servers for you to retrieve later. So 6 months from now, you could go back and look at a presentation you did 6 months ago and look and ask yourself, what questions were asked or what ideas were generated, and of those, which did I find particularly interesting on that day, as indicated by the star. So that's pretty much it. It's just that simple to receive input from the crowd, to moderate the input, to engage your audience and interact with the entire crowd at the same time. We hope you enjoy using JoinSpeaker.com, and we hope you'll share with us how you use it. Thanks a bunch.